Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Crafts with Crashly. In this tutorial Tuesday, we are going to be making a Hello Kitty pen. Woohoo! This is my first shot at sculpting, so it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to show you how I did it. So to start out with this pen, I did start out with making the base design, which I'm taking these three colors here, the white, the pink, and the sparkle silver, my favorite. I'm gonna turn those into a Skinner blend jelly roll with the dark purple back there. And I started there, and then I started sculpting the Hello Kitty head. But this was a lot of fun, and you'll see I made a couple mistakes at first with like sizing of the eyes and the nose, and I didn't take any of it out because I wanted to show you how I got to where I got. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy here. I'll be coming in throughout to tell you what I'm doing. Now for this part here, the Skinner blend, I just took the three colors and made them into a teardrop shape, and I'm running them through the pasta machine over and over again, folding it the same way until it creates a blend. And if you want a more detailed explanation of a Skinner blend and how to create them, I do have a video on my channel titled Intro to Skinner Blends. I just included this one here because it's nice and short. It's a small one. I'm just using it for the jelly roll of the base of the pen. But these colors reminded me of Hello Kitty, you know, pink and frilly, so that's why I chose these three colors. Obviously you could use any colors you wanted. You could just do two colors if you wanted, but this to me just screamed Hello Kitty. Alright, as you can see, you just keep running it through the pasta machine until you are happy with the blend, and I love how this one turned out. So now I'm going to take it from this square kind of shape. I'm going to trim off the extra here. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I will stack it on top and then run it through the pasta machine long ways, so it gives me a nice long strip for the jelly roll. And I am keeping it on a thicker setting. I believe this is my second to thickest setting. Now usually when we did the accordion Skinner blend fold, we wanted it on a thin setting, but this I'm just doing a jelly roll blend design, so I'm keeping it on the second to thickest setting. And I'm taking my dark purple here, and I'm going to put that at 2 settings smaller, and then I'll stack it on top and then roll it up. I'm just trying to pre-shape it into that long rectangle as best as I can, so I have the least amount of trimming as possible, because we don't need any extra work if we don't have to, you know what I mean? So now I'm going to put this on top, and I'm going to trim it to where they're the same size. and then we will roll it. So now I'm going to cut both ends again, but this time I'm going to do it at a slant. I'm bending my knife and kind of pulling it towards me so it has a slant, and that just starts the jelly roll more clean. You'll have it start at the dark purple instead of it being kind of mixed up. So now I'm just being very careful, making sure I don't get any air bubbles trapped in. And to start, I'm making sure the dark purple is over where my blend starts. See how now just the purple is on top there? And now I'm going to roll the whole thing. And once I get to the other end, I'm going to cut it the same way with the same kind of slant, so it ends on just the dark purple. And now I'm just securing it and making sure no air bubbles get trapped in there. And then I'm going to reduce this down because this is going to be what we cut up into slices for the base of the diamond painting pen. So now I have all the air bubbles out. I'm going to just start rolling it to reduce it until it's to the size that I want to cut into the strips. And when you roll it here, make sure you're going from like the inside out, in case there are any tiny little air bubbles in the middle there. Rolling from the inside out will kind of push those out, and make sure you keep your round shape of that jelly roll. Now I switched cameras here, that's why it just randomly looks different. But that's how the jelly roll turned out. It's a really, really pretty blend. So now I'm going to get a diamond painting pen, just the regular kind that come in all your kits. This is blue one, I think from Diamond Art Club probably. And I'm going to take this jelly roll that we just made and I'm going to cut it into slices. And they're not too super thin because I'm not, putting it over anything except for the pen. So I'm trying to keep them the same size, close as possible. And then I'm going to take each slice and just place them all over the pen. Once I have all the pieces all over the pen, I'm just going to roll it, which will cause them to come together. But be careful, once you set them, press them down a little bit so you don't get any air bubbles trapped in. And yeah, just fill up the base of the pen with all of these little slices that you make. Now, one quick thing that I wanted to add that I think I forgot to at the beginning is that I am using Sculpey Premo. I use Sculpey Premo for pretty much all of my clay making shenanigans. So that's what I'm using here. I will have a sample pack from Amazon listed in the description. And you can also, here in this video, I'm making a diamond painting pen, but you can also do the same exact thing with a regular pen. You just have to be careful because you have to take the ink out of whatever pen you're using. Like those cheap Bic pens that you can get like from the Dollar Tree or whatever, you can use those. Just take the ink out first and then put your clay on the outside, bake it, and then put the ink back in. But in this video, I'm just making a diamond painting pen. That's usually, you know, the kind of custom pens that I make. So yeah, we're almost done here covering the base of the pen, and then I will smooth it all out. You'll see that I rub it in my hands first just to keep it nice and warm and get it to come together. And then once I get it to start moving, I'm going to put it on my desk here and start rolling it that way to get it more flat and even. And here you'll see how all those little slices came together on the pen. Isn't that pretty? And now I'm going to clean up the ends here. To do that, I just take my X-Acto knife and I just trim the excess clay off of both ends. And for my tips, I like to roll it again just on the tips, just by holding the pen up, slanted a little bit, and rolling just the tip. So like I slightly lift it up and then just roll the tip like this, and that just kind of brings it to a point for like when you're diamond painting. Give it more kind of like a pencil feel, and when you do that, of course, more excess clay is going to come up. But I wasn't too concerned about shaping the other end because with the Hello Kitty head, I'm just going to put the head right on the end there, and then I pressed it down to make sure all the extra was there. Now I'm going to start working on sculpting the Hello Kitty head. And to do this, I just took regular white clay, I made it into a ball, and right now I'm just sizing it to make sure like the head's not too crazy huge or anything. So I think I got pretty close to the right size, and I'm just pressing it down so I know, you know, which part of the circle is up, which part is down. Now I'm taking another white chunk here, and I'm going to work on the ears. And to do that, I found the best way to try to make them as uniform as possible for both ears is to take this little chunk and then shape it into kind of like a triangle cane. And that's how I found to get the ears to be the same size and shape. So yeah, you'll see that I started out too big and I just kept reducing it into a triangle, and then trimmed off any extra. Yep, see, these are going to be way too big. Look at that. So, and that is something I found about sculpting. You know, you make a shape or an element and it's a lot of trial and error, but all I'm doing is just reducing it smaller until I get to the size that I want. Yep, and this looks way better. Way better than those crazy large Dumbo ears. Now I'm just going to cut off a little bit here, and I'm going to set it aside to match it so I have two even triangles that are relatively the same size, and then I'm going to position them on her head here. Now once I have them positioned, I'm just kind of pressing pretty firm all throughout the shape, and then I'm taking my finger and pressing on the bottoms of the triangle to kind of smooth them into the head so they didn't, you know, fall off all the time. I'm doing the same thing with the other ear, making sure it's in the right position first, pressing firmly, and then securing the sides just by rubbing it, not too much because I don't want it to be you know, smeared with the middle of the head, just enough to where it secures on her head there. Now I'm going to work on the little flower that she has on her head. I was going to do the bow, but there's a lot of little tiny black lines in that bow for Hello Kitty. But she also wears this flower, and since this pin is for Christy, her picture on her YouTube has a picture of Hello Kitty with a flower, so I thought I could get away with doing a flower instead of a bow. Oh yeah, this pen is for Christy, by the way. Hey Christy! So to shape the flower, this I think was one of the harder parts. It's just because I'm used to making canes, so I'm working with bigger chunks of clay, and this I had to use itsy bitsy tiny pieces of clay. So you'll see me try to shape the petals. Again, I didn't edit anything out. I started out by shaping them too large, so I had to keep getting some off, but again, I didn't take anything out. I wanted you to see how I got there. So I'm taking each of these little pieces, and you know, I start out, each one would be a petal. There's 5 petals, and I'm rolling them up into a ball and then shaping them into an oval shape. And you'll see I take some out because it ended up being too large. Yeah, that would have been too big. And I'd like put it in half. Yep. And so I'm making smaller ovals to form the flower. So that's what I am doing here. I formed my flower here. Sorry, I'm a little off camera here. I formed it and I kind of pressed it together, and now I'm using the little shaping tool I have here to kind of smear the petals together so they don't fall apart immediately. And then I have some bright yellow for the center of the flower. I just created this into a tiny widow ball until I got it like the right size for the middle of the flower there. And then I'm going to pick the whole flower up and place it on the kitty's head. Once I have it in the right position that I'm wanting, I'm going to just firmly press it, and then I'm going to make sure it's nice and secure, and then I'll move on to creating her eyes. For the eyes, I'm just using regular Premo black clay, and I'm just going to make the tiny balls in the shape of the eyes. And you'll notice again I made them too big at first and I had to keep reshaping them. Yeah, I kept changing my mind. There's one point when I think I was good, but then it just looked like she had some black eyes, like she got into a fight. So this took some figuring out, but again, the sculpting, I found it's just trial and error. So that is what I'm doing here. And that looks so much better. Yeah, it looks way better than those couple of black eyes that she had going on there, huh? So yeah, it took me a little bit to find the right size and to get them in the right position. Once I found the right position, I did just, firmly press to keep them secure. And now I'm going to create her nose, which is just a little yellow dot. And for her whiskers, I did use my new clay extruder, and I have it on the disc that is for the tiny little circle. I do have an unboxing video coming of this extruder and showing you how it works, but essentially you put in the right disc and you squeeze the handle and it pushes the clay out into, the various different disc shapes. For me, I just wanted her whiskers, so I just used the tiny circle shape. And then once I feel like I have enough coming out, I cut it off of the extruder, and then I'm going to cut it to the size of the whiskers and then place them on her face. once I have the head and face the way I want it, we are going to get ready to stick it on the pin base that we had already made. To do that, I'm taking my knife here and I'm going to actually trim up a little piece of the top, the end that I want the head to go on. I'm going to pull that off. There we go. Alright, then I'm going to straighten it up a little bit here. Okay. And now I'm going to pierce the head where I want it to actually go on the pin. And I'm making it as centered as possible. And I'm just going to kind of shove the pin in the middle of her head. Sorry, kitty. But I have to measure how deep I need it to go. So I'm just kind of rocking it back and forth and making that hole I need. And then I'm going to kind of carve it out with my X-Acto knife. I'm going to take another one of my shaper tools here and I'm just going to put that in there to kind of clean it up a little bit and make it more compact. And then we will put the head and secure it on the pen. So to secure the head fully on the tip of the pen, I took some of this leftover clay that we took off of the tip and I'm actually placing it inside of the tip a little bit, and then I'm going to evenly, very thinly spread it around that tip just so the clay, when you bake it, cures together. And then I'm going to use some translucent liquid Sculpey clay to seal the deal. Now, liquid clay is exactly what it sounds. It is a liquid version of the polymer clay. So I'm using that and I'm going to just squeeze a little bit in that hole that we made in her head. And this is just, it's just kind of extra clay, extra secure on the tip of the pen. Since the head is much larger, I did not want to risk it coming off very easily. So putting that liquid clay in there really secured the head because it's all going to cure together once you bake it. See some of it oozing out of the top, and that's okay. Don't panic. It is liquid translucent clay, which means there's no color to it. So you won't really be able to see it after you bake it. And then I'm giving the pen one last roll in my hands, just because when I was pushing the her head onto the pen, it kind of pushed some of the clay up from the bottom. And once she is the way I like it, her shape looks good, I'm going to get ready to bake. And make sure when you bake you follow the instructions and recommendations on your packaging. For Premo, the recommended baking temperature is 275, and I believe I baked her for about an hour and a half. Once she was baked and fully cooled down, I was ready to give her a nice gloss glaze. For this I used Sculpey Gloss Glaze. You can find it at any Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And I'm going to use my little paintbrush here. And I'm just going to dip a little in there and smear it all over her head to give it that nice glossy glass coating. And I did 2 layers of this, but after each layer I let dry completely for at least 30 minutes. If you don't let the first layer dry before you do the second layer, you will notice that it will be sticky, and ain't nobody got time for no sticky clay. So that is what I'm doing here, and she will be all done. While it's finishing up here, glossing the end pin here, I did just want to quickly say that I really hope you all enjoyed this tutorial and me sharing with you guys my extra special sculpting experience for the first time. It definitely was fun. Huge shout out to Christy, who is the new owner of this pen. And thank you, Christy, for allowing me to gain a new skill with sculpting. I think I can do a lot of cool things with this, including maybe sculpting cover minders. We'll see how that goes. But I do hope you all enjoyed this. Again, if you're new, please consider subscribing. We are growing slowly but surely here. I go live every Sunday. There's a tutorial every Tuesday. So if you enjoyed this, please give it a big old thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you for always being here. Yeah, thank you for all of your support. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.